John, I love how you get right to the goal at hand for the president, which is the politics, which he's got to turn around the vector of deteriorating polls. How does he do that?
Well, the president needs to think about what he talks about on a regular basis, or perhaps what he doesn't talk about on a regular basis, that the American public likes. And what the president has going for him is an economy that's doing quite well. He needs to stop talking about immigration. He needs to stop talking about his wall. And he needs to talk about the things that Americans care about and that they are willing to give him credit for.
Do you see any indication that he can do that, or is he locked into his base and locked into his single issue of the moment?
Well, there's really two parts to a State of the Union, typically. The first is a victory lap in which the president runs down a list of things that he has done successfully, and then he moves on to policies that he would like to see. I think the president needs to do more of the former and talk a lot more about the economy than about immigration. But no, we don't have any indication that he's willing to do that because he's so committed to this issue and he's so committed to his base.
John, good to speak to you this morning. If you say that the president should address issues that Americans care about, I mean, to my mind, housing is one of the things that jumps to the forefront. Bloomberg's written a big piece previewing what might come from the State of the Union, and it actually says that the president probably won't focus on housing or Fannie Mae, but should he?
Well, I think housing is an important part of the American dream, and it's certainly an important part of the everyday economic decision-making that an individual American makes. Yes, absolutely. Presidents in general should talk about this issue more often. President Trump definitely should. But we don't have a lot of insight into what the president's views on housing happen to be, and so it's hard to imagine that they are going to become an important part of his State of the Union.
Would infrastructure be a safe topic to broach, given that it's widely seen as a rare spot of bipartisanship in Washington?
Absolutely. Infrastructure is important for a variety of reasons. One, like you said, is that it is an issue with bipartisan support. It is something that he can talk about and have Nancy Pelosi standing above him clapping for that issue. But also, it's something that the American public wants, and it's something that he can win on, and I think he can win with Democrats on.
John Hudak, we mentioned Speaker Pelosi, but I think fascinating this year is the response of the Democrats to the State of the Union. There's, you know better than me, there's 4 or 5 people that always give this response. And instead, they go to a woman out of Spelman College who ended up at Yale Law, remarkable career. Whatever your politics, Stacey Abrams' career path is absolutely remarkable. What does that signal to Democrats, from Biden to the gentlewoman from the Bronx?
You know, Stacey Abrams is such an important choice for Democrats this year. She's going to be such a contrast with the president, not just as a woman, not just as a person of color, but her tone and the way that she talks about policies and politics is going to be an important way to differentiate not just Democratic values from the president, but Democrats' approach from the president. And I think particularly given the trouble that Governor Northam has been in Virginia over the past several days, Stacey Abrams ends up being an ideal person to shine the spotlight on for Democrats.
John, you've got a thermometer on Washington at all times. What does liberal, what does progressive mean right now? What is the Democrats' frame getting to the beginning of the primary season and all that? How do you define liberal right now?
You know, it's an interesting term because I think it depends on who you're talking to. I think liberal is no longer a dirty word in American politics. We have polling that suggests that more Americans than ever are self-described liberals. And I think what Americans want is something that's more fair, that promotes equality economically and in terms of issues like racial and social justice. And those are the things that are allowing people to call themselves liberal and have a party that is accepting them as such.